Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of Organized Chaos Stories with Shabana. This month I had some extra hours and I've been wanting to release this episode for a while now, and I finally got it to work. And this is an episode that was done this time last year. It's my first podcast interview that I was a guest on my friend Charlotte Jukes' podcast. Her podcast is called Pickleball and Partnership. And it was such an honor to be on her podcast. It was really special because this time last year I had just gotten back from India, and I had also just gotten back from my first Cathy retreat down in LA. And the retreat was called Bloom. And since that retreat and now this past year, I have bloomed and blossomed so much, and I have healed and grown so much. So it was just so interesting because I just recently, like tonight, re-listened to that interview of me sharing about my trip to India and sharing about the retreat and stuff. And now here I am a year later reposting and sharing that episode. And this is crazy. So it's interesting that this is episode 41 that I'm sharing that episode. And if we rewind back when I post that episode, I had just turned 40. And so I find it interesting that I have done 40 podcasts in between then and now. And this is my 41st podcast. And that was my first podcast ever. And now this is my 41st podcast. And also keep in mind, when I recorded this a year ago, there wasn't like this big plan that I was going to have a podcast. And now we are a year later, 40 episodes in. And now I have a podcast, and now I have a platform where I'm sharing these interviews and stuff like that. So how cool is that? There's so much that can happen in a course of a year if we just allow ourselves to bloom and blossom and heal and transform. So I just love it, and I hope you enjoy this episode as much as I do. And thanks for listening. Anyway, we're going to dive in. I hope you enjoy it, and let's go. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Today is such a special day on Pickleball and Partnership podcast, because not only are we diving into a powerful story of resilience, identity, and connection, but it's also my guest's birthday. And not just any birthday. This is the first one that she's celebrating on her chosen birth date. Just let that sink in. So after a life journey that began at a train station in India and eventually being adopted, today marks a moment of full circle recognition, a moment of reclaiming identity, truth, and self. I honestly can't think of a more meaningful time to sit down and have this conversation. So just before we dive into everything, let me just say, happy birthday, Shabana.
Thank you.
I won't sing for you because my singing is not that great. Well, I am so excited and I am so honored that you are here today on your very first podcast interview. So it's a first for so many different reasons. And it's your chosen birth date, and you have chosen to spend this hour with us. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you so much for having me. That's such an honor.
We have so much to dive into, so much to unpack. I am so intrigued, and I know our listeners are curious. Oh my gosh, where do we start? Do we start with pickleball? Because obviously you play pickleball, or you have played pickleball, so I want to hear about that. But I also take us back to that train station in India, if you will.
Yes, I will. Okay, so story has it that my brother and I were found at a train station at a very young age. I was 2 and he was 4, and we look around and we are separated from our parents. Thankfully, a police officer found us and could not locate any family. So he put us in an orphanage. And from that, eventually we get adopted and we come to the United States, and we got to stay in the same family. So that was amazing. And we grew up on the East Coast.
Oh my gosh. Can I just take a moment there? Because Wow, that's a lot. That's incredible. Can I ask, do you remember that day?
I don't have any memory. It was just what the police officer had gathered from the situation that he had told the orphanage, and that is our beginning story. I remember like bits and pieces like from the orphanage, but really I just turned 40. It was so long ago, and I was the younger one at the time. So I take it as that is a story that was told, and here we are.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's incredible. Do you know how long you stayed at the orphanage?
Records show about like a year and a half. So that was like in 1986, fall time. Because when we got to the orphanage, they just gave us birthdays because we didn't know our birthdays. And then obviously they look at like our dental records and our body and our shapes and stuff. And they kind of just said, hey, this is how old you are. This is the year you're born. Here's your birthday kind of thing. So you just accept what adults say at that age. And on all like legal documents, my birthday is September 22nd, 1984.
Do you recall being in the orphanage at all, or was it after that time?
Back in, I think it was like 2016, a movie came out called Lion, and it was about a boy that was at a train station and gets separated from his brother and then ends up finding his way to an orphanage. That's based on a true story. But basically, when I saw that movie, it reminded me of my story. I feel like I've been so busy in my life, I've never taken the time to go back to India and like discover my roots. And then, so that triggered all my thoughts back in 2016. And then just this past February, I ended up going to India and going on like this amazing like tour, and then at the end we saw the orphanage and we got to see all of it and just sit there and be with the executive director there. And it was such a full circle moment of like, oh my gosh, I have been so loved and so held and so cared for all these years. And it was just so many tears for me at the orphanage and stuff.
When you saw the orphanage, when you went back to India earlier this year and saw the orphanage where you were taken to, describe that for us.
I feel like I said like no words there, even though I did talk a lot, because they asked questions like, how was your upbringing? How was your family? What do you do? Like the lady cared so much about me, and I asked a lot of questions, and it was so powerful and amazing, and just so many years of joy and like gratitude and thankfulness that these people took the time to care for me and my brother and other people. Obviously, we weren't the only ones there in such like horrible situations, and they took the time to love us and care for us. And a lot of the work they do at this orphanage is they have a bunch of social workers, and they try so hard to reunite kids with their parents. And they talked a lot about that when we were there. And then eventually you get qualified to go be adopted if they don't get the results. I've always felt like I've been like protected, loved, cared for. Our story could have gone 1,000 other directions. I will never know the name of the guy, the police officer that found us, but like I'm so thankful. And we grew up in an amazing household. Like our parents are so loving. They gave us the world. They literally did. Just being at the orphanage, it just brought everything together, that full circle moment of gratitude and love.
That must not only have been incredible for you, but like you say, incredible for the people that work there also, because they probably don't hear back from too many children after they've been adopted.
Yeah, agreed.
Did you go to India with your family, or was this a trip that you took on your own?
No, David and I have been married for almost 18 years, and we have 3 kids, and they're all school age, 6th grade, 8th grade, and 10th grade. So realistically, I was like, no, I'm doing this by myself. Also, my husband has like a lot of like food allergies and stuff, and so it wouldn't work. So thankfully, one of my really good friends, Karen, she came with me, and so we were roommates on this trip. And then we had family friends that came with us, Brenda and Rob, and they were amazing. So it was like the four of us, and then the tour group itself was a total of like 10 people, including the tour guide. But like at the end of the trip, when the tour was over, the four of us went from like New Delhi down to Pune, saw the orphanage and stuff, and then flew out of Mumbai and came home. I'm not like super good with logistics and stuff, but Brenda really she was amazing. She figured out our hotel and our rides and everything so we could see the orphanage and do all the things. So like, I owe her so much to like make this a reality kind of thing.
It sounds as though you really were held through this journey as well, through this time of going back to India, going back to the orphanage, so that you could absolutely 100% focus on you, because that must have been such an emotional trip for you.
Yes, it was. It was so amazing. Like, just to be there and like see all the people around you and they look like you and you're not like the odd person out. And then to think like, oh my gosh, my life couldn't be completely different. India is such a beautiful place and culture and people and just everything. And I was like, all these little things would come up and I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, one example is we went to a temple and we watched like them worship and stuff. And I'm in there and I'm like bawling. And then afterwards, someone's like, hey, are you okay? I'm like, that music I had heard before and it like touched my soul. Like I was like, because I've never really heard it before, but I did. Like I knew that this was like so important to who I was and am. So I had so many moments like that in India where I would like look at something and it would like just be in my DNA. And I'm like, holy crap. It was amazing.
Wow, so, what an experience. And I do remember that movie Lion coming out. And oh my gosh, I remember crying. It was such an emotional movie. So I can't even imagine what that was like for you to watch that and know that your journey was quite similar to that.
Yeah. It was intense. It was really intense. And at that time, my kids were younger ages. So it really like, oh my gosh, like, I just want to know more of who I am and where I come from. And that was a big part of sparking my trip back to India and seeing everything. So
I mind me asking about how you feel about your birth parent.
I have done a lot of work on myself, and honestly, that's how I feel like I am the way that I am, because I've done a lot of inner work healing, and I know there's always more to do. Obviously I don't know them. I've never like have found them or anything like that, but like I love them so much, and I know that they were just dealt a really crappy hand, and it is what it is, and I forgive them. My life turned out amazing. So I got a great deal out of the deal. But I know if they're out there, I have like this sense that my mom is still out there. I'm not sure about my dad, but I know that like my mom is still out there. And I know like sometimes I'll just close my eyes and connect with her and send her love. I have a sense of peace. I think whatever happened, I don't think she was aware of it. I think it was something like somebody, whether it was a father figure or an uncle or something, I think it was one of those, it just happened. And then she was just like, wait, what? Like, that's how I choose to interpret the story. But no, I'm not angry. I'm not mad. People make poor choices when they're in hard situations. And I know I come from complete poverty. I think of like dirt floors and huts and like dogs running around. I think of just like the worst of the worst, but we all have to start somewhere, and it's all a choice. So I choose to believe that I love them.
And you've been given, really, truly, they gave you such a gift. You mentioned that. And you bring up a different perspective, an intriguing angle that actually your parents may not have been aware of. the situation. It may have been out of their control, but it's interesting that you have a sense of what happened and that you feel that connection to your mum. I can relate to that from my perspective because my mum passed a long, long time ago, but I still feel that connection. And I feel like as women, we do have that connection with our birth mum, whoever gave birth to us, whatever the situation, whatever the circumstances. I mean, she gave us life. Yeah, that's beautiful what you said.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, Shabana, I met you actually just a few weeks ago and got to hear little bits of your amazing story, and I was so attracted to your energy. You just exude this energetic, this light. You really light up a room and you really shine. When we met, we were actually at Cathy Heller's Bloom Retreat, and something quite extraordinary happened to you while we were at the retreat. Do you want to share that?
Yes, of course. Okay, as we started this podcast, we're talking about how today is my chosen birthday. Today is April 22nd. And during the retreat, on the first day we were there, we were on the second exercise that we did. It was called I See the Mystic in You. And Cathy had given us like 10 different things to say, and we were supposed to find a partner, look into their eyes, and say what was on the paper. And I just felt in my spirit, I was like, I'm going to ask Cathy, why not? And so me being me, I like in my head, I was like, she's going to reject me and say no, and that's okay. But the point is that I tried. So she's like, okay, go ahead, find a partner. And I want you to find a partner that you have not worked with before. So then I was like, I'm going to ask Cathy. So I get up and I walk over to the stage where she's sitting, and I was like, hey, do you want to do this exercise with me? And she's like, no, I think you should find somebody else. And then I said, okay, well, if you change your mind, I'm here. And she's like, okay, F it, just come up on the stage. So I was like, okay. So I sit down, and I was like nervous, of course. I'm like, she's like my celebrity crush or whatever. But she's like, okay, I'll go first. So she went first, and then I went. And she's like, you don't have to look at your paper. Like, F the notes, just speak from your heart. And I just spoke what was on my heart and what I saw in her. And we're both crying and stuff. And then at the end, her first question is, when is your birthday? And I'm like, it's like, it's kind of a long story. Okay, I'll tell you. I was like, my birthday is September 22nd. It's the birthday I was given at the orphanage. And then I ended up telling her, just real quick, left at a train station, was found by a police officer, put in an orphanage, get adopted, grow up on the East Coast kind of thing. Now I live in Washington, I'm married, and I have 3 kids kind of thing. So I'd have to share that story with her. And then at the end of that conversation, she basically said, it would be so neat if you found an oracle and they could just tell you like when your birthday is. So I was like, oh, maybe that will happen. I'm open to possibilities at all times. So the next day, Alexander Cole came in and talked about human design. And so, of course, I'm like, okay. So I asked her, I'm like, I don't have a birthday, so what do I do? And she's like, just listen to the different groups and decide which group like resonates the most with you. So I'm like sitting at the table by myself in this crowded room of all these empty tables, and everybody's like popping and going into the 4 different categories that we had shown for human design. And then eventually I was drawn to one group, but then when we were doing the descriptions and learning more about human design, I resonated more with the manifesting generators. So I felt during that time I had received what my new birthday was, or my chosen birthday, and I just kept it in my heart. I didn't want to tell anyone. And then that evening when we were done, one of the other ladies that I didn't know very well was like, hey, do you want to like go out to dinner, just like you and me, something like low key? I was like, yeah, that sounds amazing. I was like, but I have to invite my roommate. So it was the 3 of us, and the 3 of us just chat from like 6 p.m. to like 11:30. And towards the end, the three of us had gone back up to her room because the restaurant was closing. So we went to her room and she pulled cards for us. So she was pulling us cards and stuff. And then I'm like, wait, are you an oracle? And then she's like, yes. I'm like, okay, tell me my birthday. And she's like, I think you already know. I was like, okay, but I want to hear someone else say it because I still hadn't told anybody the date I had decided. And so she says April 22nd. I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, April 22nd. And then my other friend that was in the room, Natalie, she's like, that's what I was thinking too, but I didn't want to say it. And so we just decided together that April 22nd would be my chosen birthday. And how fun is that? I get to celebrate 2 times. I should be celebrating all year long, but 9/22 and 4/22 are the days I'm recognizing for my chosen birthday.
The synchronicities are just unbelievable, aren't they? We honestly have no idea. And if anybody has listened to my episode from a couple of weeks ago, I actually referenced the Bloom Retreat there and human design and Alexandra Cole and what came up for me during that time as well. But we honestly just have no idea what's in store for us. And I love this. I think the universe is just so playful, just reveals so much to us if we're open. But the fact that you were on this retreat and you met up with this lady, an oracle who gave you your birth date, but you say this was a date that you had in your mind anyway. Tell us about that.
The only reason I had that in my mind is because when we were doing human design work, it's just something that was like, oh, wait, I can have a new birthday? Like, it was just one of those things. So it popped into my head. And then the cool part is that after I had put in like my September 22nd birthday in human design, the answer wasn't like resonating with me. And then I put in the new birthday and I realized that the year is off. So it would be April 22nd, 1985. And when I put those dates in, it gave me a 6-1, which in human design, it's a number thing. And then it also gave me a manifesting generator. So I got my numbers and my like title thing by putting in my new birthday. And so I was like, I'm keeping it. It's mine. This is mine.
That is incredible. Yes. And I'm a manifesting generator too. And I know, yes, it was so interesting. And I think I mentioned this before on the past episode. But I thought that was such an amazing exercise to do because we're split up into those 4 different groups. And I literally made my way to my group and then looked around at the people in my group. And he was like, of course you're in my group. Of course it was my friend, Kate was there and Lex was there. And, it was just everybody that I had connected with on a deeper level. And you just got this real sense of, yes, these are my people. So that's incredible that you felt that too. But that September the 22nd was not quite jibing with you. You put the new date in, which gave you a new year as well. And that just felt so much more aligned for you. Gives me chills, honestly. Wow.
And the next crazy thing with all of this is back when I was in India back in February, March, we went to a fancy jewelry store and I was like, I'm not going to buy anything. I don't need to spend more money on stuff. But then I decided that I was going to get a ring. Our tour guide was able to talk down the price. And I was like, all right, fine, I'm going to do it. So I splurged and I bought a ring. And this ring is gorgeous. That's besides the point. But
it is. You can test to that because I can see it.
It's so pretty. I love it. Anyway, so it's a circle. So that full circle moment. But after I made a decision on the birthday part, there's 22 diamonds on the outside. And April's birthstone is diamonds. So it basically is saying April 22nd, but in stone form. And the middle part, one of December's birthstones is a blue topaz. And that's what's in the middle of this ring. And David and I were married on December 1st. And there's one of them in the middle. So it's just mind-blowing. The other thing great about April 22nd, which I didn't realize until afterwards, is that April 22nd is Earth Day. And like, hello, it makes me so happy. I love spring. I love taking my walks and getting back in shape in the springtime. Like, I live in Washington State, so it rains a ton. But as soon as spring hits, it's gorgeous here. The weather's warming up, so I'm like, yep, I'm celebrating this. This is a good day.
Yeah, we're celebrating Shabana's 40th chosen birthday today, and and your first podcast interview.
Yeah.
Wow, the energy just incredible here. I'm just curious, is Shabana your birth name, or was that given to you later on? Have you ever looked up your name? I love the meaning of names. There's so much around it.
I'm such a name person. That's a great question. It is my birth name, and I love that. So when we were at the orphanage, one of the questions I had asked, so is Shabana like my name, or did you guys give me that name? And they're like, nope, you came here and you were proud and you were just like, Shabana, like you knew your name. And we wrote it down. So yes, that is my birth name, given, I assume, by my mom.
That's so special that your parents gave you that name.
Yes.
That's incredible. Okay, so I just had this image of you at the age of 2 pointing to yourself and Shabana. You were just so proud. Oh.
15 years ago, a lady at church like Googled my name and she put my name as Queen of Virtues. So there's that. And then just last night I was looking it up because realizing after being in India, I don't know why it took so long to correlate it, but my name is a Muslim name. So Shabana in Muslim means like Lady of the Night. And then my last name is Night. And I think the crazy part, even, I think it's a Bible verse, but it says like the light shines brightest in the darkness. And just like recently I'm learning more of like just taking time for myself. And that's when we get filled up so we can pour out. Like I've always known this, and there's been different seasons of ebbs and flows and stuff, but really spending those first hour just in stillness. And that's where all of the ideas and everything manifests, is when we take the time to slow down and from that become love and light wherever we go, to the people we're around. I do a lot of volunteer work at my kids' schools and stuff like that. And there is always some kid to love on and just like, hey, how's it going? And they're amazing people. But anyway, I get to share that love and light through that. And then I also do like cleaning and organizing, and it just brings peace and light to people's houses. Like I really feel like sometimes I'm just like cleaning the dirt away, and then people come home and they're like, oh, thank you so much. This is amazing. Just a little bit more about me.
I can totally see that you just shine your light everywhere you go. And I already said it, your energy is amazing. And I also love that first hour or so of the morning before the house has come alive, before everyone else is doing their thing. My husband is still lying there snoring next to me. And I know Cathy, she also talks about this, that sacred hour. And I take that time every morning to really connect to myself and to connect to the divine, the universe, to connect to that energy. I love it. It's a really nourishing time for me to be able to connect with myself. But I also love the analogy of thinking of myself as a candle. Because when a candle lights other candles, the original candle does not diminish in any way. And I think, as a nurse for 37 years, I've always felt as though giving to other people took a little bit of me. But in fact, when we're really nourishing ourselves and we're really connecting to who we are, and that's why I love that sacred time every morning, the energy is infinite. We have so much to give, and I really see that in you. I know I know we're not in the same place, but I really feel like we are. Your energy is really so giving, and I bet the kids just love you. to pieces.
They do. It's so fun.
Yes. I'm curious because you touched on this a little bit, and I think people, maybe your story is really resonating with them. And you mentioned that you have done a lot of work on yourself. What helped you heal? Or not that you were broken, but what helped you really create that strong sense of self?
Honestly, I think it comes back to being placed in such a loving household. Like, my adopted parents are amazing. They, like I said, they gave us the world. They didn't spoil us, but they taught us and they loved us and they accept us exactly who we were. And they've always been so supportive with anything and everything. And I mean, I really feel like it was the environment that shaped us to be who we are today. And I also think, I don't know where I get it from, but I've always been that like happy-go-lucky, my cup is overflowing type of person. And granted, I've had my dark seasons. We've had hard times in our marriage and we've had so much, but I just choose that everything is going to work out. And I just trust. I trust myself. I trust the universe. I trust God that no matter what, it's going to be okay. And I've always had that. And I always just choose to see the light in any situation. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely. It does. I think that trust is huge. I love that you said cup overflowing, because I think when we can really see those moments in our life, and there are so many of them, even from the fact that I woke up this morning and I woke up in my bed, which is comfortable, and I woke up warm, and I woke up next to somebody who I love dearly, who dearly loves me, all around us. And I think when you can really tap into that you have no choice but to see what's just amazing and what the universe provides for us on a constant basis.
Absolutely. I think it always just comes down to like just choice, like knowing that we get to choose. Like, I am an adult. I can choose to celebrate any day I want to for my birthday, or I can choose to wake up and spend time alone and get my cup filled, or I can, like, I've had moments where I've been like angry and I've dealt with anxiety and depression and stress. Like, hello, that's just life sometimes. But what really helps me is just having my quiet time, and also like getting out in nature and taking walks and listening to amazing podcasts. I'm just like, okay, I'm out of alignment. How do I get back into alignment? This is what I need to do, and it works for me, kind of thing. I just started again waking up early and spending time alone. It's only been like a week. Prior to this, I would always have like bad dreams and nightmares, and I'd just like wake up and be anxious and be running out the door, and I'm like, my life is crazy. What am I doing with myself, kind of thing. Just lots of disorganization. But then I just decided, I was like, the people that are successful, like Mo Robbins and Cathy Heller and all these amazing people, they choose to find time in their day to get still and get quiet, get the download and take action. And I was like, I can take lots of actions, and sometimes I get downloads, but I need to get still. And the only time I can get still is first thing in the morning at like 5 a.m. So I just told myself, like, body, if you want to spend time with me, you have to wake me up. I am not going to set an alarm. And so the first day I wake up at like 4:40, and the next day it's like 4:30. The next day it's like 4:45, and I'm like, okay, I'm doing this. And then it was actually just on Sunday. We stayed up late Saturday night, and then Sunday was Easter, and I was like, oh, I really hope my body like lets me sleep in. Nope. It woke me up at like 4:50, and I'm like, oh. And I was like, then I had like fear of like missing out. And I was like, I'm going to get up and I'm going to spend time with myself, and it's going to be a great day. And it was. So if my body decides not to wake me up, then I'm just going to like, okay, then I'll just wake up later, For the past 7-8 days, it's waking me up and I'm doing the thing, and I'm just so happy. It's just like I have so much more energy. and I have no more bad dreams, and I have less anxiety, and it's just like, oh, this is what works.
What an empowering practice. You've inspired me. And I love that you said to your body, okay, make this happen. And it's happening for you. And here you are now having that quiet space. You've inspired me to get up when I wake up at 4, whatever it is in the morning.
Yeah.
It's a message for me to actually, yes, get up at that time.
Awesome. I love that.
Before we go, we have to touch on pickleball. And I know I could talk to you, oh my gosh, Shabana all day, but you have birthday celebrations to go to. I know you have so much more to do than talk to us on your birthday. But just briefly, how did you discover pickleball? What drew you to the sport? Tell us that story.
Oh, I love it. So it was like Christmas 2022. Grandma had given our family a set of pickleball and like the net and the balls and everything. But I had heard about pickleball, so I'm definitely more recent to the game. And I remember just the 5 of us going to the court and just playing and stuff, and just how like fun and free it was. And it just reminds me of just that metaphor of life. Life is a game, and you're meant to have fun, and you're meant to enjoy it. And it doesn't have to be stressful and rigor and who's winning and who's doing this. It's like just enjoying being more present and being off of our phones and connecting with the people around us. And it's a great sport. I just learned this last night. It's a combination of tennis, badminton, and I think like ping pong or something. I grew up playing those things like with our family and stuff. So it only makes sense that, of course, I like pickleball. Duh. So, yes, it is really, really great. And I have one other thing to share, if that's okay.
Of course.
Okay. So last week, the kids decided that they wanted to do Easter baskets and do an egg hunt. And I'm like, okay, great. Now I have to figure this out. Because originally it was like, okay, here's $20. Here's some candy. So I went shopping on Friday and got everything. But I was like, oh, I'm going to buy myself a birthday shirt. So I bought this shirt. For those who can't see it, it's like light blue and it has these beautiful pink flowers on it.
It's gorgeous.
Thank you. And then I didn't like take the tags off. I just like kind of like put it in my closet and then I grabbed it. So I pull it out the other day to take the tags off to try it on to make sure I liked my outfit for today. And on the tag, there's a lion.
Yes.
And so I find it interesting that the shirt I pick out, the tag is lion, and it's from the movie Lion.
Yes.
And my new birthday shirt already has a symbol of just my life.
Oh my gosh. Chills again. Wow. The signs are all there. If we're just open to it, honestly, all we have to do, like Cathy says, is follow the breadcrumbs, right?
Yes, exactly.
That's incredible. You have shared so much. It was just like I say, you have to come back on again because I feel like we have more to talk about, more pickleball to talk about. I love that you play with your children. I keep saying this, pickleball is for everyone. If there's anybody listening who's like, well, shall I play or shan't I don't know if the kids would like it. Just go try it. It is so much fun, and I love that you said it should be about play. It should be about fun. I don't think we do enough of it. Just leave us, Shabana, if you will, with some words of wisdom. There is somebody out there who's listening, who perhaps really resonates with your story in some way. They're going through some kind of journey themselves of maybe disconnection or unknown identity. What would you say to them?
I'd say lots of things, but I think it comes down to, and I'll read this and see what resonates, but it says, just know that you are amazing. You've got this. You heal people with your words. Yes, it's a powerful story, but you never are stuck in your story. You always have choice. I think it comes down to, like, regardless of what life has been given to you, you always have a choice to rise above. You don't need to stay stuck in your story. I mean, for years, I could stay stuck in my story of being like abandoned, left alone, unwanted, like all the things. And sometimes I get triggered and I fall back, but it's a choice to get up and move forward and say, no, that happened. And this is how I'm moving forward. And this is how I can show somebody love. I've always been a person that if we're in a group of people and there's somebody like standing by themselves or they look like, I don't belong, I always go up to them and say, hey, do you want to sit with us? Hey, I have an extra seat. Because I don't want people to feel alone. And it breaks my heart when I see people and kids alone. And because I have felt alone a lot of my life. But at the same time, because I know the feeling, I can relate to people and bring them in and connect them. I love connecting people. And then also find time during your day, even if it's 5 minutes, just to be alone so you can feel good. We weren't meant here to be on this earth just to feel like crap all the time. Like as mothers and wives and humans all together, like all the things, like spend time alone and go play pickleball and have fun.
On last week's episode, I think it was, I interviewed the head coach of a new pickleball facility here in Calgary, which was amazing. And he said loneliness is huge. I think there are so many people out there who do feel lonely and they feel like they are alone. And Sumit said, I have never had so many friends. And it's true. You go and play pickleball, you're having fun, you're not sitting on the couch feeling sorry for yourself, you're active and you're connecting with people. So, yeah, what more is there? Shabana,
Exactly.
so much. You are an amazing person. You have so many amazing stories. I feel so honored to have shared part of your chosen birthday with you. It's an honor to have met you. And I would love to extend the invitation. Please do come back on the podcast at some point. I would love to chat with you some more.
Awesome. Let me know when you have a spot. I'll be there. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for listening today. I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. Anything mentioned, including links, notes, and a full episode list, will be over on our website at pickleballandpartnership.buzzsprout.com. If you got something out of this episode, be sure to follow or subscribe to Pickleball and Partnership on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen, so that you are notified of new and upcoming episodes. And if you're finding value in this podcast, a cost-free way to support us is to leave a 5-star review. It truly means the world to us. This will help more people access these real conversations. And if you haven't connected with myself or Neil personally, we would love to meet you and say hi over on our Facebook page. Thanks again for listening. Please tune in next week for another exciting episode of Pickleball and Partnership. Remember, we're all learning, growing, and showing up in our own ways, and that's what matters most.
Hey you, yes you. Thank you so much for listening to Organized Chaos, Stories with Shabana. If you loved this episode as much as I did, hit that subscribe button, leave an outstanding review, and share it with a friend who needs some inspiration. Thank you for being part of this community. Remember, in every bit of chaos, there is always a story waiting to emerge. Who knows, maybe sharing your story might inspire others to share theirs. The possibilities are endless. Let's live in the possibilities. This podcast is sponsored by Happy Mail. I created Happy Mail for when you don't have the words, Happy Mail does. Happy Mail sends handwritten cards of encouragement that uplift, comfort, and reminds everyone they matter. Happy Mail is better than a McDonald's Happy Meal, spreading kindness, not calories. Click the link in the show notes and get your Happy Mail sent ASAP. Limited to U.S. residents only.